I think a lot of women are experiencing that. So it's not because we're weak. It's not because, we're old or whatever. It's just we are chronically exhausted. And so we're going to figure out, I would talk about this today. Why is this happening and what can we do about it? Hi, welcome back. Today we are talking about burnout and the hidden burnout that a lot of women experience. So we're going to unpack that, what that's about, how a lot of people are experiencing that. So, how are you feeling about burnout today?
Well, it's an interesting day to ask me that question because I am trying to differentiate what is happening within me, and it may be burnout today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, okay? Like many people ask me specifically, they're like, I don't know how you do what you do. You do so much. And I'm like, I'm not burned out. Like I'm energized often. I have a good, feeling for it. But I think there's a part of me that's like, well, yeah, of course I can handle all this, right? So, but interestingly, in the last few weeks, I've been finding myself waking up feeling more flat, numb. And like today I was like, I don't really care about anything. And that's just not me. And I was like, well, I don't think it's burnout because I felt okay yesterday. Mm-hmm. So it is interesting. And that's why part of the motivation is like, I think many women and men too, but our audience is mostly women. We're doing a lot. So we really want to talk about this because while we can't always change all the factors in our lives, we can figure out how to be as healthy as we can while managing all of those stressors.
Yeah. And so I think it's not just that we are managing so much. There's a lot of women that are in this sandwich generation we talk about where you're taking care of children and elderly parents, or there's people who are experiencing perimenopause at the same time as juggling all of these other things. So it's not just that, it's this chronic emotional, mental, and nervous system overload. It's just like an overload. Like I describe it as I can't digest all that is coming at me emotionally, physically, psychologically, just that things that you have to do every day. It just feels like too much. I think a lot of women are experiencing that. So it's not because we're weak. It's not because, we're old or whatever. It's just we are chronically exhausted. And so we're going to figure out, I would talk about this today. Why is this happening and what can we do about it?
Okay. Yeah. So, aside from the symptoms I mentioned today, how might people know that they're starting to feel a little burned out?
Yeah, I think so. Like the first thing people talk about is this chronic fatigue, being tired, regardless of whether you're sleeping or not. And the other part that everybody brings up in therapy, and I'm experiencing, is this irritability, this kind of like snappy, like, oh, like I shouldn't have snapped at my kids or I shouldn't have snapped at my friend. It's just this like on edge. And there's also like a brain fog, decision fatigue, like, oh, yeah, another decision, like at night when I'm just spent and like I have 3 kids and they're asking me questions. Simple question. Can I have a play date on Friday? Can you sign my permission slip? Can we go to so-and-so's? I am just like done. I'm done. I'm like, the question department has closed for the day. And this is what I say. I'm like, it's finished. We're done. It's closed. Yeah. The department is closed. And it took a few times and they finally got it. I'm like, no, it's finished. The questions are done. It feels like every question and everything that comes at us that it's just pulling more and more and more until you're just completely depleted. So it can look like a loss of motivation.
Yeah, for you it's like I think that irritability outward. For me it's more like shutdown, numbness. I'm like, I don't care about anything. And then I find myself like even like the simplest things, and I'll still do them, but they seem like, oh, this is one email. I don't even feel like sending it, So it's like, but it feels like extreme, mm-hmm. right? Like it. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel it. And another one that came up when I was researching this that I find I do, because I'm not an internet scroller person, mm-hmm. I have found that that's another telltale sign for me is I start scrolling. Mm-hmm. I just get on like Facebook and I start looking at like just not just posts, but like shopping and stuff. And like next thing you know, an hour and a half has gone by and I'm like, I could have meditated. I could have slept. I could have read. I could have taken a bath. Like I could have done all of these things that I'm avoiding.
Yeah, well, I think that's some of the dopamine depletion that happens, and so you're almost like looking for like a little bit of hit or something to like. But often I find when I'm in those cycles, it's like nothing's replenishing, so it's just like more depleting. I think a big one is like also like it's a getting annoyed by sound and just people. So like maybe I do get irritated too, but annoyed, and I just want to be like I just want quiet. I just want to be away from people. Like I don't want to answer an email. I just need like to cocoon.
Yeah, I always joke around when I'm driving home. We pass by National Airport here in DC, and it's literally just one turn, one turn. And I'm like, one day I am going to just turn the car and jump on a flight to God knows where and go for 4 days and not tell anybody. And sure enough, when I was researching burnout, that was one of the things that came up, a desire to run away and go to a hotel room for 3 days and not talk to anybody.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
It's like, that's like a fantasy. I'm going to do it one day.
Yeah, just give me the 411 on that before you do that and take me with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and a lot of people know they're like, I can sense when I'm going to go into a period where it's going to be more taxing on my overall system. But you know what? A lot of times, sometimes if you're in that and you're recovering, but a lot of times with burnout, people are like, well, it's been weeks, I'm still not recovered. And I think that really speaks to like the physiological, emotional, mental, like wearing down. That's why I think if you haven't mentioned, sometimes it's like a vacation just doesn't do it. We think, oh, just take a bath, just have a vacation. And you're like, okay, well, I did. And I still feel flat and apathy. So I think there's a real need to understand the complexity of it as well as like the healing process. Even though we want to avoid getting to the burnout spot, ideally, but also to be easy on yourself. And I'm saying that out loud to myself as well. That sometimes I'm like, you hear me? I'm always like, I want to be in that good mood, productive. And then like when I'm not, I'm like, oh, I feel like half dead. But I'm actually probably just like resting and recovering, which is okay.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah, what negative self-talk is coming up when you're resting and recovering? Because that's one of the reasons that people do burn out, right? Because it's like, oh, I'm being lazy. Oh, maybe I'm depressed. Oh, maybe it's my cycle. Maybe I'm hormonal. Maybe I'm bad at coping. I'm a wuss. Like, all this negative self-talk that gets in the way of us actually resting.
Yeah, and you know what? I read something today which I think was like kind of an eye-opener for me, because often when things quiet down, I actually do kind of love it. But you know what I do is I'm like, oh, well, this is the perfect opportunity for me to manage and do all the things around the office or the building or plan. So that project manager, even though I don't need to be executing that, I like fall into that, which can be a huge thing. So then again, I'm going into mental planning and all of that instead of just being.
And I think that's one of the big pieces of burnout, because it's called invisible labor. So we are aware of our, the labor we do every day that we have to do, right? Go to work and feed ourselves and go to the grocery store, pick up, drop off, all those things. But what about the invisible labor of remembering, of planning, of emotionally monitoring your children or your spouse, or meal planning, or remembering birthdays? Oh my God, I forgot that birthday. Smoothing over conflicts. Like there's all of this invisible labor that is very tiring to us, that we don't, it's not, my mom would always say a woman's job is not visible, because I would come home from school and it looked like she did nothing all day. She folded laundry and went to the store and put things away and cleaned the fingerprints off everything and put away the dishes. But like, I didn't see all of that. So it's like, there's so much that happens that it's like invisible. That's external and also internally that we're going through.
Yeah. Remember how amazing we felt when we did that 1 week meditation retreat? And I think like, aside from the meditation, all of that, like it was because we had zero responsibility for planning other than like to feed ourselves and get to the meditation. Because I think, as a mom, and I'm not a mom, but I hear you, there's this constant, like, is everyone getting picked up? But, and then if it shifts, right, then you're like having to move everything, moving clients, but it's that forward. I think you said even just the always thinking ahead, right? Is everybody taking care of our things? And it's not always women, but I think it does fall often more on women. I think naturally that's the role we actually are probably pretty good at.
Yeah, I think the research shows that the women are usually the project managers of the family, the emotional regulators of the household. It just tends to fall. I don't remember what the statistics on that are, but I do know I've read over and over again that women tend to take the larger load of that in the family.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so how do we change it, right? Like, how do we regulate our nervous system? And how do we also differentiate between what is burnout and what is anxiety, depression, menopause, like all of these other things that are happening at the same time? How do we differentiate all of those things? I mean, women are rewarded for self-sacrifice, for being caretakers. Women are rewarded for being productive, and they're shamed at times for resting, for having limits, for needing help,
Yeah, and I think, you also said about the emotional availability that we're monitoring people, like we're just always kind of keep a tab on, like, at least, speaking more, we were talking about like how I feel like the employees here. I'm just like, is everybody happy? Are they developing in the right way? Like, are they satisfied as you do with your children? But we're tuning in often to that, but that's also what women are expected to do. And I'm gonna say I don't mind doing that. I do, but it's another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it's that the burnout is like this constantly being on.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It's like any of these things are okay on their own, but it's just that there's never a moment where it gets to turn off. Yeah, that's the problem, right? I mean, even like the sleep, I think even when I'm sleeping, except for me, I remember after I had kids, I feel like I sleep with one ear open. Like one ear is always like, is anybody calling for me? Is everybody okay? And it's like this anxiety response. It just doesn't turn off. No. Yeah.
So we're talking about, right, like there's chronic stress mode that often, and again, there's this level of tolerance with stress that we can function with a certain level of stress until we can't, right? And sometimes you don't know where that's going to be the tipping point. And I think we've talked about like how we know, but I guess the question is like, what helps burnout? What have you learned? What do you know?
Yeah. So I think that one of the things that people become irritated with is when, when you hear, oh, you just have to take a break, you take a vacation, you take something off your plate. What if it feels like you can't? Like, what if it feels like all these things need to get done? But I will challenge you, because this is a struggle for me as well, where people said this to me and I'm like, you don't understand. And I stopped and I was like, wait a minute, I can take something off my plate. So I told my family, I'm like, I am no longer taking care of the dog. I'm like, it's too many things. I take care of the cat. I take care of 3 kids. I do the groceries, the cooking, like all that. I'm like, I can't. Giving the dog away if people don't walk and feed the dog. And I felt like if you really want to take care of this animal, you will do it, or we will give the dog away. And sure enough, I don't think I've walked the dog in 3 months. So I'm like, I'm just not going to do it anymore. Yeah. And then I said, I'm not doing your laundry anymore. And if I do happen to be in the mood to do the laundry and have time, I will throw their load into their room. And then I'm like, do it or don't do it. I don't care. Like, wear dirty underwear. You're old enough to do your laundry. Oh, and by the way, if you don't, you're not getting an allowance. So it's like finding ways to do this where we don't feel guilty, because you will feel guilty, but you sit with the guilt, you sit with the discomfort, and you're like, I'm just not doing this anymore. Like I was saying earlier, the question department has closed. I'm reading my book now. Once the book comes open at 9 p.m., I am not accessible to you unless somebody's bleeding. Do not talk to me. And it's just like these boundaries.
All right. So you're talking about like one thing about unequal labor, and I'm curious, like with the dog, like did you assume responsibility of the dog? Like how did you get to be the one that was fully responsible for the dog?
I don't know that I was fully responsible for the dog, but it was like this inconsistent thing. Like, who walked the dog? Did you feed the dog? I didn't feed the
So you're
dog.
still
Oh
managing.
my God, we forgot to I forgot. So it was just inconsistent.
Yeah.
So it was like one more thing to manage.
Yeah.
That was the problem. I couldn't keep managing something that was inconsistent. Now, I wouldn't have a problem if I was like, Mondays, I'll take the dog. And it's a predictable thing. But this managing of things is the emotional overload.
Yeah.
The stressor. And that's why, like, sometimes people say, well, why don't you get your husband in on the carpool? Because that's one more thing to manage. That's where I was like, so I got a driver. Thankfully, I can afford to split a driver with 4 other parents, which actually didn't end up being that much, that would come twice a week. So twice a week, I don't have to worry about the driving. Because if I had to call my husband every Wednesday and Thursday and say, oh my God, did you do it? Can you do it? No, you're running late from work. Oh, there's traffic. Oh, like that's another thing to manage.
Yeah. Yeah. That's making me think about it. Right. It does make a difference of like, what you're delegating and who's helping. Cause that is a huge one, is delegating things. Like sometimes I think of these major events and things that I run. And often I'm like, well, I keep myself stuck because I'm like, oh, it takes too long to explain to people and they're not going to do it right. And then because if I do delegate and they don't do it right, then I'm managing, right?
Right.
But most of the time when you have the right people in place, like it just feels like a huge relief, right? You're like, you can feel that off your plate. And that is, I think, something like to be a really good question. Like, where can I delegate? Like, when can I let go? Because I think that there's stuff we think we can't let go of, but we can.
There are definitely things that we think cannot be let go, and they can.
Yeah.
I mean, even like I said, like the driver thing, I'm like, oh, that would be expensive. Actually, it ends up being like $8 per ride. I'm like, it's not that bad, right? If you split it with 4 people. So it's just like figuring out, like not automatically knocking something off and saying, no, that's not possible.
Yeah, we were talking about like our other episode about staying in your lane. So I think again, like emotional, where we're overtaking, caring, or spending emotional energy that we don't have to really give, that could be a huge saver.
Yeah, emotional energy, physical energy.
And we talk about nervous system like replenishing. And so, you know what? I mean, rest can help, but it also really depends on like what you need. So like, it's not always rest. It could be connection, right? Just another part of you having, being able to connect to something that's enjoyable for you, connecting to the right kind of people. It might be rest, but I think there's this nurturing of the overall system, especially if it's been in a state of chronic stress, to help it recover.
Yeah, I know when I'm in chronic stress, when I get more snappy and I get more like fatigue, like it's like you slept, but you feel depleted. Like you just can't quite wake up.
Yeah.
It's like a cloud.
Yeah. That's why I love our business relationship, because we'll be like, I'm like, even today, I was like, I'm half dead. She's like, just show up and talk. It'll be okay. Just nod your head, and I love that we can have that, because I'm like, just the limitations. And if I think even being able to, I'm not saying I should wake up half dead, but like, I love that we can support each other. And I think that ability to say, hey, I can't do this, to say no, or this is all I can give today, and to have, partners, respect that is really important also.
Yeah, to be heard and like you carry each other back and forth. Yeah. So, okay, so what can you do? Like what small shift can you make to equal out the labor or, the burnout? I mean, one thing I was thinking is when I was talking about delegating tasks, think about something you can delegate. Even the groceries, somebody told me, why don't I get it delivered, the groceries delivered? And then I'm like, well, because I like to pick out my fruit. And sometimes they'll give you like bad fruit. Like that's all true. And it's probably easier if I just click and my groceries are delivered.
God, it's the best. Like they showed up at my doorstep and my husband's horrified because the grocery store is like 2 blocks down. But I'm like, for me, going and picking out, like that's decision fatigue. That's not my cup of tea. So yeah.
One boundary, one delegation of a task. And that gives you an hour of your time back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing. Is like, what if you just chose an hour where you're not available? I recognize that it's hard sometimes when you have like really small children. Like I remember when I had little kids, it just felt like 24/7 that you can't do that because a baby is going to cry or need something or need to be fed. So I get that. But even with that, if you are able to ask for help, ask for someone, put the milk on the side, ready for them, and go for a walk for an hour. Like, can you find a way to carve out 1 hour for yourself where you do nothing, or you just take a walk, or you just like don't think about anything and just do it without guilt? Because the guilt is the other thing that comes up a lot with women when they do this. I shouldn't. I'm a bad mom. I'm a bad wife. I'm a bad friend. I'm a bad boss.
Right.
All the stuff, right?
Giving
that we
yourself
do.
permission.
Give yourself permission and grace.
Yeah, and I think that like, whatever that activity is, I mean, I think the key is being in default mode network, because when you're using your frontal lobe planning, you're using a very active part. You're planning, attention seeking. So you need to be able just to, as you said, not be thinking, or at least like allowing yourself to dream, or just your mind to go wherever you want to go, and just to be in the moment, because that is also, very like resetting. And remember in the beginning of the year when we went to the meditation retreat and we were like, we don't have any time to meditate. And then all of a sudden we came home and we found 15 minutes or half hour, an hour. And so often there is, this is not for everybody, but often there is definitely some time. It could be 5 minutes, 10, it could be an hour. If you really shift where you're giving out extra, what time am I spending worrying? What time am I doing a task I don't need to do? What time am I scrolling on my Facebook? So just reprioritizing your time.
Find something that you really like doing too. Another thing I used to do when they were little is I love watching movies and reading books. But especially I used to love watching movies. But I would be like, oh, I'll watch a movie at home, but that wouldn't work because somebody's always coming in and out. So I would just go to the movies by myself.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
It was so fun. I was like, I'm going to the movies. I'm going to go out for 2 hours, and I'll get my big bucket of popcorn and my candy and my Coke, and I would just be like, in heaven for 2 hours, and my phone is off, and it was like it was a reset.
Yeah.
So like get creative and and don't feel bad about it.
Yeah. And I think, once you're not burnout, like we go through periods of, like, to really step back and look at things holistically, because I think it's hard when you're in the moment. And again, even today I wake up and I'm like, well, is this a medication? Is it allergies? Is it perimenopause? Is it whatever? Sometimes it's not easy to differentiate. So for me, I started changing. I was like, well, let me change one element. Let me make sure my food is clean, right? Let me eliminate alcohol for a little while. Am I still feeling, burnout? Like, am I, resting and giving up and delegating, and I still feel flat, So it does help to try to start to, address different pieces, and then also ask for help. Like I think I know everything, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be in perimenopause. Maybe I am. So I'm going to go to someone smarter than me, who's a holistic doctor, who's well documented, because I do think that there's a good need. It's not the whole reason for burnout, but the statistics are showing that women are thinking it's burnout, and there's brain fog and hormonal things that are happening. So that would be another thing why rest isn't changing it, if the hormones are dysregulated.
Yeah, talk to a doctor, right? Because a lot of these do overlap, and this is when we use diagnostic testing. Depression can mimic this, perimenopause can mimic this, like all of these disorders or disabilities, if you will, they do overlap. And so people are like, oh, maybe I'm just depressed. Well, if you're just depressed, you can talk to a doctor about that. But also, depression tends to come and go. It's not constant. There are nine criteria for depression. You can look them up. You have to meet 5 out of 9 for at least 2 weeks. So there's like ways we differentiate one from another. If this is a chronic, constant thing, get your hormones checked. See if that's a contributor. But in general, I think that we all can relate to this feeling of or what was the word? Where we're just overstimulated, right? Being overstimulated and depleted. I think that we can all relate, or most women at least can relate to that feeling.
So I think, your point in closing is sort of like just, I mean, tracking and understanding, but also asking, like, what am I carrying that no one sees? Where am I over responsible? Where am I losing time? You know, how do I better take care of my mind, body, and spirit?
Yeah, all of it, and without guilt. You deserve it.
Yeah, because I will say, like, you know, you can have a lot going on in your life and still feel healthy and energized, you know? So it isn't always all the things, but you'll know if you're out of alignment.
Yeah. Okay, so go take care of yourself, and we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Take care.